In fifth grade, I wrote a little book and I had to put down my favorite color. My favorite color was black, like the funeral director's car. If you find a job you love, you never have to work a day in your life, and that's what I have found. We'll start with that because that's true. I've been a funeral director since 1981. I have continuously worked in the funeral industry for the last 33 years. I've done nothing else but help families and provide service to the community. Everything we do is surrounded around serving these families that we help. I was actually a gardener, working at a funeral home for about 3 months. I worked for a funeral home up in northern Idaho in Coeur d'Alene. They needed help putting a person into a casket, and they said, "Oh, go get Mike, he's outside." And when they got me, they thought it was weird that I did my portion without really wincing or thinking about it. I basically closed down my little landscaping business I had going on and became a funeral director. The first funeral I directed, I remember I was young. The feelings I had was like, wow, I can't believe I'm really doing this. Somebody's letting me do this all by myself. And when I was younger, in my 20s, for instance, when I didn't have any gray hair, I worked with an older man named Dick Walker. He would say to me, we'd talk, I'd tell him what needed to be done, and people would walk up to Dick and ask him questions. And he'd say, "Oh, you'll have to talk to the funeral director," and he'd point to me, and they'd look at me and go, "That's just a kid." You were constantly proving yourself worthy to a family, because they would look at you and go, "Wow, you're a snot-nosed kid. You need to be, you must not know what you're doing," but we do know what we're doing. So it did work out real well. What we do is the second oldest profession. The first one, we all know what that is, but the second one is funeral directing. It's been around for forever. As I get older, I see fewer and fewer people that have been in the business 30 plus years. The attrition rate, it's stressful. What we do is very stressful. We get woke up 3 or 4 times a night sometimes. We go bring people into our care. We'll go out in the middle of the night, go to a home where somebody's just suffered a loss. We'll bring them in. We always are the ones that are the strength behind everything that goes on in the funeral business. A lot of people will say, "Oh, you must be cold and ruthless and just don't care." I think we care more. I care more now as I'm getting older because I can see more need as far as what's going on. The people that get cold and callous are the ones that leave the business. Usually there's a reason they leave the business. Their mother died or their father died and they took care of them as the funeral director, and it bothered them and they couldn't do that anymore. My mom died when I was very young. I was almost 14. First person I buried in my family in 1984 was my grandpa. I helped with my great-grandma, my grandma, and countless friends. They call me and say, "Hey, my mom's not doing well. Mom just passed away." I'm there helping them. Sometimes by us being so involved in what we do, it's our families that get neglected because we're on call more than doctors usually. When there's a death, people expect us just to be like we're sitting around the corner, but they're calling us for the first time at 2 in the morning and they want us there in an hour. That's hard. You're standing in the back of a Catholic church. The casket's up in the front of the church. The priest is starting the mass. Well, the mass starts in the back, but we roll the casket up to the front and he's starting the opening prayer. All of a sudden, there's a church truck underneath the casket. The wheel falls loose. The casket tips off the church truck. The body rolls out into the church. Everybody's like, "Oh no, what do we do?" Well, we have to fix it. We're the funeral directors. You calmly walk up like nothing's happened. You fix the church truck. You put the wheel back in, tighten it back up, put the casket back where it needs to be, put the body back in the casket, close the lid of the casket, cover it back up, put everything back where it was, bow respectfully, walk out like nothing ever happened. Got to have a sense of humor in this business, because a lot of times we do things, we see things, we have to help families, and it's just like, oh, so overwhelming what you're doing. You've got to be able to look at it and go, you know, that's when you step back and go, this is what I do. This is my job. This is my calling. Something that stands out is when people come in with a general purpose of what they want to do. A deceased clown dressed in clown makeup in his casket, and then having clowns carry his body to the cemetery. Those are, you know, they say that's clowning around, but that's how clown funerals go. I already know I'm going to die someday. I'm going to be cremated. Take what you got every day, and you know, when you know, it's an old adage, but live like you're dying. I think, was that Tim McGraw? Yeah, live like you're dying, and you know, just make the best out of everything. If you're walking out the door, kiss your daughter, kiss your wife, whatever. Uh, Tomorrow it could all change.